Good evening, good evening, good evening. What's happening, people? I hope you're good. Welcome to Begin Let's Talk, episode 34. Hope everyone's good on this Saturday, Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening now. But yeah, I'm good. So today I'm joined by Mr. Liam, Mystery Method. So he's a fitness coach, and he's got his own little technique and method to do things. So gonna get straight into it. Let's bring him in. Liam, this whole time gonna bring in now, my man. Good evening, Liam. How's it going?
I'm very good. I'm very good. How are you? How are you doing today?
Yeah, fine, thanks. How's your Saturday going? Good.
Saturday's great. Yeah, I'm surrounded by family. I've come home for the weekend. Got my little nephew here as well, so
What else
very
you want?
wholesome. Yeah, exactly. What else? What else?
Making good memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so just tell us a bit about you. Where are you actually from? Which part of the country are you from?
So I actually grew up in Hertfordshire, just outside of London.
Okay.
And I spent most of my childhood, growing up in and around Hertfordshire and Essex. Now I live in the Midlands. I live in Leicester. I work at Loughborough University, which is like one of the best sports facilities and universities in the country. One of the
Brilliant.
best sports facilities probably in Europe.
And how long have you
Definitely.
been doing that for?
Past 2 years. Yeah.
Enjoy it?
Prior to that, most of my professional career I was in London. So I went from London to Leicester, and I've been up there for about 2 years now.
So you went from London to Leicester, but normally people do it the other way around, don't they?
People get very surprised. It's like, hang on, I mean, you've done this the wrong way round. But to be honest, the big city lifestyle wasn't for me. I like a little bit of greenery. I like a little
Fair
bit
enough.
of downtime and a slow pace of life. So Leicester's great.
So where was your upbringing? All in Hertfordshire?
Yeah. My parents, they actually grew up in Yorkshire. So to be honest, if I wasn't at school and if I wasn't in Hertfordshire, I was back up in Yorkshire, up north. Yeah, with the beautiful weather.
Lovely. Okay, schooling, that was all in Hertfordshire, was that in Yorkshire?
Yeah. So schooling was all in Hertfordshire as well. Yeah, I was very, very fortunate. My parents absolutely put a massive emphasis on mine and my brother's academics. We got some very good schooling education when we were younger. We actually went to it's a boarding school down here, and it's an international college. So we had lots of opportunities to learn about different cultures, learn about different ways of life, and actually do voluntary and charity work in those different countries. We learned how to speak different languages and actually work in different countries as well, all part of our education.
And you kind of like touched on family. So family are mainly up in Yorkshire. Have you got family in Hertfordshire as well?
We've got some family in Hertfordshire. Yeah, we've got we've got family in Hertfordshire. We've got obviously like people in northwest London, in Harrow and Stanmore area, Watford area. So we got some family that have migrated down from the north, but a lot of them, they still are a little bit more like Midlands up north. Yeah.
Whereas you went from the south to the north. Completely opposite.
Yeah. Migrations.
Yeah.
You see, everything goes around in cycles.
Yeah, it's true. You never know, you might come back down again.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what inspired you to start Mystery Method? And what's the theory behind the name? Obviously the name must be Mystery, your surname, is that right?
That's it. You've got bang the nail on the head there. So yeah, I suppose me when I was younger, I hated sport. I hated anything that was like organized and had all these rules. I hated all these different rules. I used to misbehave when I was in school. I was a bit of a crazy kid. I had so much energy, but I didn't know how to channel it.
Right.
And then when I was in school, actually, when I was in high school, like I realized that like the quality of my life was very, very bad. I was very receptive to. I was able to really reflect and be quite aware of the quality of my life in terms of like, to be honest, my academics weren't great. My social life wasn't great. My physical health wasn't great. My mental health wasn't great. And I wanted to make that change, and I wanted to change. And I had a very, very good role model. He was my best friend at school as well. He was one of those kids that had it all. Right? He was
Yeah.
crazy at football. He got a lot of attention at school, let's just say. Like, he very academic. He seemed to always be smiling, lots of people around him. And I was like, what does he do? And the thing that I think, like, the entry point that I really found was that he played sport. And this was probably when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And I realized, if you could probably do that, you'll probably be rubbish to start off with. But if you just did that, maybe you could be a bit more like, you could actually acquire some of the similar characteristics that he also has and some of these other people have. And I just got, I think, like, started playing football at lunchtime, and I was rubbish, and I was like the last person to be picked. I was like that classic kind of person. It's like, oh, do we have to get lumped with Liam? Like, we're gonna
Then
lose
you
the
had to
game, kind of
then
thing.
stick him in goal.
Uh, yeah, yeah. And then I realized that, I'm being picked last because I'm not fit. So then I went home and I just went for a run. And honestly, that one run, that very first run, changed my life. I went for this run, and I realized that I think it was only like 15 or 20 minutes, but I
How
realized
old
that
are you then?
I was like 12 years old. I was
Okay.
like 12, I was a kid. But I realized that during that 20 minutes, like, all of those anxieties, all of the mental things that I was kind of going through my head, like, they just disappeared. Like, I forgot about all these other worries, whether they were education or school, like, anxieties, or whether there were social anxieties. They kind of just went away. And I kind of, every single day, I literally went for that same run every day, no matter what day it was, no matter what the weather was, no matter how late it was. I would sometimes go out at 11 o'clock at night just
And
because I didn't get to
how long was the run for?
it grew. So it started off like going, yeah, I used to do it in duration. So it started off being like 15 to 20 minutes. And then it increased to like 25 to 30 minutes. And I think
Including
I
yeah.
was consistently doing like 30 minutes every single day after school. I'd get back, just get changed, and then go.
And this was what, from year from the secondary school or from middle school?
Yeah, this was like secondary school, like when you're in year 8, year 9. Year 8,
Yeah.
yeah, I was definitely in year 8. Yeah, I probably went through the most, like, focused time of change when I was in year 8. And by the end of that year, actually, like, I was actually seen in school as the sporty kid. I
Really?
was, I was,
Like
I
the
was,
guy that you used to look up to.
well, I was picked for all the teams. I started
Okay.
like, yeah, I started getting more, friends. I started People inviting me to their birthday parties. People picking me first in the football teams. In
Excellent.
fact, like, by the next parents' evening, I think when I was in year 9, I went to parents' evening, and all the teachers were like, he sits at the front, he does all the work, he's focused, he gets things right. If he gets things wrong, he takes it on, he learns, and then he improves. And my mom was sat next to me, was like, have you got the wrong child? Because this isn't my child. Like, what you're saying does not correlate with
Yeah.
what I know. And I realized that from such a young age, you can find so much value, and you can change your life just with one very simple thing, something that everybody has control of. And then that is, how much, what they can do to improve their health. I
And
found that in just,
yours was that run.
that all started with a run after school. That all started by being called, I got called fat when I was a kid. That all started by looking at myself in the mirror and not being very happy with what I used to see. That all started with being at a position where the only thing I could do was make a change for myself. That all started there.
Okay. And then, so how would you describe the mystery method to someone hearing it for the first time?
Yeah, I would say that it's sort of a philosophy. It's more than just doing some performance training. It's more than striving to become a professional athlete. It's more than striving to lose 10 kilos. It's more of a philosophy of how can you improve your quality of life, how can you improve yourself, but also give you the education and give you the empowerment to make those changes yourself.
So you know where you are now? You're up in the Midlands or
Yeah.
middle of the country, sorry.
Yeah,
What do you, who do you work for? Sorry, who did you say you work for?
So I was actually working for a consultancy company. They're very well known in the performance world for
Okay.
being like the gurus and the best in the best for developing speed and enhancing movement quality with elite
Okay.
athletes. I was working for them up until very, very recently, and now I've taken the leap and kind of gone out and doing something for myself now. I always had my own name, my own brand. So I worked very much more like a consultancy base, but
So have you ever
I
been
have.
like a fitness trainer or anything, like in the gym?
So what I do is quite different. It's not different, in fact. It's very, very similar, but um, I do work in a gym quite often. I do develop like strength programs. I do work on people's sort of strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I also do is out on the football pitches. It's out in the cricket fields. It's teaching people how to move more efficiently. It's teaching people about their own bodies and about movement mastery. Sometimes you can't necessarily do that from a gym,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not necessarily just trying to get someone on a consistent program to lose some weight. It's a little bit more than that. It's a bit more
Okay.
of as I said, a bit more of a philosophy.
As you mentioned football, I need to ask what team you support.
My blood runs from the north, so I'm a
So
United
Liverpool.
fan.
Oh, United.
Yeah. No, these
Fair
days
enough.
everyone will be a Liverpool fan, but no. Unfortunately,
So
um,
I'm just gonna get my charger.
all right. I thought
Yeah,
he was
so
going to
you
cut me off then because I said I was a United fan.
nah. I support
What team
Tottenham.
do you support? Oh, you
Tottenham.
support Tottenham. You know what? I used to live, and most of my professional career was down here in London,
Okay.
and I did a lot of work at Lee Valley Athletic Centre, which is just around
Which
the
is around
corner
the
from
corner,
White
yeah.
Hart Lane. Yeah. So in terms of what's closest to me geographically, I'll definitely say like Tottenham is close to us. But what runs deep is that red blood.
It's Man United. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So how, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? So I'm just trying to picture what.
Yeah, I'm 33. I'm 33.
So you were around like Lee Sharp, Kanchelskis. Were you around that time?
Yeah. I was sort of like the latter end. I was the good, the
Cantona,
90s.
Fergie's good
Yeah,
years.
the Fergie's good years. I saw that through when I was young. This is actually when I used to not like football and not like sport as well. But definitely those, growing up around a family that were all United fans, like cousins, uncles, like everyone was a United fan. These are like household names, right?
And is that
We
when like
actually
Andy Cole and Dwight York were up front?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This
those
is it.
days.
And yeah. And actually, where I grew up it wasn't too far away from where David Beckham used to live.
Oh, okay.
So we had like there was always, and he's got the same birthday as me, right? So there's always
Excellent.
this thing about like live close to Bex and also got the same birthday as him.
Perfectly.
Support. He plays for the team that I support. Like this was meant to happen.
Excellent. Okay, so what's your well? I can't read. What sets your approach from other coaching and development programs? So what makes you different?
Yeah. So I'd say that number one, and maybe this isn't like a complete difference, but I'm obviously an athlete myself. And I pride myself on my own physical ability, my own ability to put myself into the shoes of the person that is in front of me. I always try to understand it from their point of view versus like what does the science and what does the research say? No, I always trying to think, okay, from your point of view, what do you need and how do you feel in these certain situations? So a good example of this is actually I started working with a professional boxer for a period of time, and I've never boxed before, and never really was a fan of boxing. But within the first couple of years, I said to them like, I want to come and train. I want to come and learn how to box. I want to actually experience a fight because then I understand it from your point of view. I understand, what actually goes through your head during a fight,
Yeah.
what actually goes through your head during the training, how do you feel and what are the weak points do you feel when you're training and in your and doing the certain movements? Because then that helps me to then create a training program or to create a system that's uh, going to be right for you. So first of all, I'll definitely say I try to walk the walk as well as talk the talk, basically.
Definitely.
The second part is that, and probably this is the most important part, is that I fully appreciate that no one's here off their own back. Everybody is here because someone has done something for them, whether that is like my teachers, my mentors, my parents that gave me a great education, and my family, my friends, my partner who all supports me. So I fully appreciate that I'm not here because I went on that run when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm here because there's so many people that have come before me that are still here that pave the path that I'm walking. So I have a massive aspect of my own um, philosophy that comes back to like charity work, and in our culture we call that seva.
Seva,
So
that's right.
I always make sure that
You
every
give yourself it
single
back.
you got to give it back, yeah,
Yeah.
because when I was young and I was growing up, I grew up in Hertfordshire, I grew up in Essex. There was one other Indian kid in the school. There was no kid or nobody that was like interested in pursuing a career in sport that looked like me, looked like us, that kind of I could look up to as a young person.
They
So
were all busy trying to be doctors and lawyers and nurses.
yeah, they're pursuing these like serious, like impactful positions that make such a difference in the world. Whereas
Yeah.
I'm teaching people to run fast in a straight line, like with people that I treat to run, or I teach people to punch other people in the head, like when I'm teaching boxers, right? Um, and but at the same time, like I understand that what I do can help people. Just like when I was younger, I needed help and I needed that opportunity to go for that run and find sport and find a better way of life and a better quality of life. So I want to be able to make sure that that is also um, that's also bleeds into what I do for work. So a massive aspect of what I do is savor. What a massive aspect of what I do is community and charity work.
I want to
I
come back
always
to that because you took part in the Sea Games as well. Who were you representing Hertfordshire?
So I wasn't actually. So I would love to because obviously grew up around here. But I was actually the lead for athletics for the Seat Games. So what we actually started obviously the Seat Games in lockdown. Everybody
Yeah.
was in their houses, and we kind of like we're trying to really kind of bring the communities together within the Sikh community, and we wanted to make sure that these people from our communities could see other people from our communities in the types of positions,
So you're
being
talking
able to
about
be a
the first Sea Games, the one in Nottingham, yeah?
yeah. It
Okay.
started 5 years ago, but then it
Yeah.
culminated in the very first actual competition, which was last year, our inaugural Sea Games, which is in Nottingham in 2024. This year was our second year, 2025, which was held in Brunel University.
Bruno, you see, this year
Um,
I was a regional lead for Berkshire and Surrey.
yeah. So I could see like there were so many people there like yourself that were so passionate, and you're kind of getting these communities together to be just to get awareness of something that's such an
Definitely.
incredible event.
It was
Yeah,
brilliant.
like just it was brilliant, right? To have it there at Brunel Sports Park, and to be able to see football, wrestling, athletics,
All,
badminton.
all, all within the same kind of like complex.
Yeah. Yeah, not just for the people that already play those sports, but also what more importantly for the people that wanted to experience something. Maybe they've never played badminton, maybe they've never been comfortable enough to play netball before. Maybe there's where they live, there's no other people from the Sikh community that play netball and they don't feel comfortable to actually want to go and play it. But this provides a stepping stone, it provides a platform for people to feel safe, for people to
Definitely.
feel inspired, and then for people to access health and sport provisions that they might not have access to in their regular life.
Okay, so going back to Brunel,
Yeah,
so where you were the athletics track, that's when you walk down past the football thing, the football five-side
yeah,
pitches. Then you walk out those steps on you, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
that's where the track is. That's where you were, yeah.
Yeah. That's where the track is. That was actually where the registration for the athletes was as well.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah,
I, yeah, so they would have walked up, they would have seen the track. We held it over the weekend. I think it was first weekend in August. So on a Saturday we had like the seniors, so everybody 20 and above. And
yeah.
then on the Sunday, we had everyone that was below the age of 20. We had our youngest athletes were less than 4 years old, so they were like 3 years old and less.
Wow,
And then our oldest athlete was actually 84, I believe, and he competed in 100 meters.
no
And he
way.
actually, yeah, I think he smashed his personal best in the 100 meters as
Brilliant.
well. And again, like a lot of these people, they're not quote unquote athletes. They're not people that go down to the track and put on these, wear lycra and put on these spikes and all that kind of stuff. They're not these types of,
Nah.
they're not all these types of kind of like people, but they're people that want to try it and understand that, if they step onto the track and if they're representing themselves, their community, their age group, what they could also inspire for the next year,
Dude,
other people like them to
100%.
also do that.
Now, I spoke to a lot with the badminton player from Kent, Meva Singh, the one with the
Oh
one leg.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
spoke to a
yeah.
lot of
He's a
him.
legend.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and I remember him just telling me that he's hopping around on one leg, beating people playing badminton. And then I remember his story, and then him saying where he used to work, he used to always compete with people. He used to play badminton with them, and this is when before he had his leg accident. So he used
Yeah.
to go play badminton, and he used to like give them a good game. But then he goes, but when I lost my leg, he goes, I was even more determined to do well. And
That's it.
he goes, I used to smash them then as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And just to hear that,
Oh,
it
100%.
is
So motivational,
so
so inspiring.
inspiring. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Okay. So what is the mystery method designed for? What kind of transformation can clients expect?
Yeah. So I would say that so when you come to a specific like a session, or when you're kind of like maybe an athlete that I work with, um, my 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 philosophy of the sessions are broken down into three main aspects. The first thing is that you would I would always encourage like some education within the sessions. There was also everything that we do is very purposeful.
Yeah.
And then what most importantly, everything that we do is as fun as possible as well. So those are the three things that I always want to make sure that I'm focusing on with each session. A lot of the people that I currently work with have like some interest in sport. So some of them are like cyclists, some of them are footballers, some of them are track and field athletes. So the first thing I would always do is do a very like an individualized assessment of your movement.
I was just about to
You
say,
know,
do you do an assessment?
yeah. So like I'm a full believer that like movement is the medicine. Oftentimes people come to me in pain, or they might have pain, and I usually draw this back to two different reasons. The first reason is that they're doing too much of a specific movement. and that might, so if you look at maybe a specific athlete, let's say, or somebody that goes to the gym quite a lot, they might be doing the same kinds of movements, but then not much other variety. The other
Oh,
reason
so
why
they
some
go in
people,
every day, they're bench pressing and the chest is hurting all the time, but it's sore. Something
yeah,
like
they
that.
might get they might
Yeah.
get shoulder pain, they might get back pain, but when you actually look at their assessment, it's like, if they, let's say example, if they did do like a lot of bench, then they might have quite rounded shoulders.
Yeah.
They might kind of hunch a little bit. If you look and you can compare like the size of their muscle, or like how built their muscle is, it might be very kind of built up in certain areas, but other areas might not be necessarily built up.
So how much of your job is science?
I think everything has to come back to something scientific and
Yeah.
research based, because then because if you don't, then everything is a bit of a guess. If you understand, everything becomes more abstract and a bit like, okay, well, I think this might improve you. Whereas
Yeah.
if you can always look into the science and try and understand, number one, how the body works, but then also look into specific injuries and see how those people in research have been able to deal with those particular injuries. And then you can kind of combine those two with like your own experience to develop specific training programs to help people on an individual basis, which is one of the most important things.
Brilliant. Any success stories you can share for that somebody that's used the mystery method?
Yeah. I was actually this is a very good question. It got me thinking, and actually, I didn't have to think for very long. It would 100% be the very first client I ever had.
First
When I
one.
was still, yeah, the first client I ever had when I was still in university. I did my master's in strength and conditioning,
So what
and
uni did you go to?
I went to Coventry. So I did my
Okay.
undergrad and master's at Coventry University.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, if I started down south and then I went up north for Coventry and I
And you
came
come back
back
down
down
south
south
again.
for like, and then I went back up, got a taste
Brilliant.
for the Midlands, and I was like, got to get some of that back. Not many people ever say that, so probably the first.
Brilliant.
But yeah, so while I was still doing my masters, I was actually recommended because I was asking, oh, can I get some work experience? And they said, hey, like we've got somebody that works for the university and he looking for some coaching. Like maybe it could be a good opportunity for you to get some experience. And it
Okay.
was a guy that used to work on like the tech systems for the university, and he used to like help upload like updated technology and updated kind of softwares to the IT systems.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, I think like being in tech, being at a desk, he kind of abused his body in terms of like he wasn't really training, he wasn't really looking after his body and stuff, and he ended up getting like a prolapse disc. And then from that, like again, like he just wasn't looking after himself, and he ended up actually in hospital, bedbound, couldn't use his legs for a period like maybe 6 to 8 months. It was nearly a year that he said that he was in bed for. But then over time, he was able to do some physio and he was able to stand again. And that's kind of when I started to see him. And over the course of the year that I trained him, I became I just tried to become more of a support for him. Somebody that, he actually became a very close friend of mine. He still is my friend. After so many years, after more than 10 years. And after about a year of training, he was able to do a lot more. He was more consistent. He actually signed up to the Coventry Half Marathon. He did the Coventry Half Marathon,
Brilliant.
and yeah, I would say that was the biggest success story, because similar to when I was younger, my quality of life wasn't very good in terms of my mental health, my physical health, and I could see that I had a great opportunity to give back to somebody else. And this was voluntary, right? This was work experience. I wasn't getting
Yeah.
paid for this. This was something that was close to my heart. And it was just the very first person that, I was
And
able
you're
to
helping
work
somebody
with.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind
Brilliant.
of got a taste for that. I got a taste for that. And that's what's really pushed me and motivated me to continue to do this now.
Okay, what's common obstacles you approach?
I think Oh, that's a good question. I'd say like one of them is I think much like many people that are, let's say, entrepreneurs or kind of like working for themselves, like I think common obstacle is maybe, and maybe this is also something that I've experienced throughout my whole career, is that you know I'm a South Asian male that's in a sporting industry that there's not a very high representation of South Asians
Yeah.
in this sort of like sector. And I would say that there's definitely maybe a lack of understanding of how challenging it is to navigate, maybe from my own community, but then also from outside as well. Um, I'd say that I feel like there's obviously I suppose, like a big pressure to be able to provide and succeed here, where as I said, it might seem that people don't necessarily understand. It took a long time for a lot of my family to even understand what I did
So
for a
what
job.
did your family want it to be? Obviously, they said you went to uni. Your family fully supported you. So did they want you to be the
Yeah.
doctor
So my mum and dad were very, very supportive. They realized from a very young age that I wasn't going to become a lawyer or a chemical
or doctor?
engineer
Yeah.
or a doctor. Yeah. I'd say that like my extended family, they started to understand. They always knew that I was very active. I had all this energy. I think for a lot of them, they kind of just thought I was a physio. I was a physiotherapist, and that was the
Okay.
closest thing that they could kind of like relate it to. Obviously, I do work with people that are injured,
Yeah.
but actually working in the performance sport, high performance sport in industry, and coaching people, as I said, like in the gym, on the track, and all that kind of stuff, and then calling that a job, a profession, I think was almost a little bit, again, like quite difficult to comprehend. So for a very, very long time, I was a physiotherapist.
Yeah, but then your class has a doctor as well, so that's not bad, is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're still waiting. They saw some of them are still saying, "So have you got your doctorate?
Yeah.
Your doctorate yet? Have you got your doctorate yet?"
Okay. How do you measure progress and success in coaching?
How do I measure progress?
Yeah.
Um, I measure progress by first of all, making sure that people are happy and consistently happy. If people are happy every single, every annual cycle, every time we get round to the start of the year, I would say that's a success. Um,
Mm.
I think if people understand that there's no such thing as perfection, but a there's always room to keep improving, then that I think that just breeds, development, that breeds satisfaction, I'd say.
Definitely.
Those are the two key things that I would say is like the important aspects. There was actually a really interesting study, and maybe this is a little bit like, again, a little bit of a tangent, but there's an interesting study that looked at all of these academy football teams around the world. And as kids are growing up, like the coaches of their teams, they were just selecting the most physical players. They're not
Yeah.
really selecting the players that, maybe are a little bit less physical, the ones that are the underdogs, the ones that are late bloomers. You've got early
Yeah.
developers, you've got late bloomers. All these sort of early developers are getting picked for the team. All the late bloomers, they just, they get pushed to the side, they get let go, they get kind of going to a different team. But then over time, like you can actually look at all of this data, and you look at the professional teams, you look at the team, like when they actually make it out of the academy, with whether they can cross like the difficult part of becoming a professional athlete. And they actually realize that at the very, very top, like not, it's actually a much smaller percentage of those people that make it to the professional level that were early developers.
Really?
So many of those
Or the
athletes that
late
were
bloomers?
late bloomers, or like the middle, so the ones that were on sort of like middle, like they're on time in terms of their maturation, they actually made it to the top. And they realized that, when you're working with an athlete, and if you're always expecting them to get high grades, or if you're always expecting them to, always get a PB, and you're always working at this thing that's sort of very, I would say, like outcome orientated,
Yeah.
you're naturally going to reach a plateau. Whereas the ones that were late bloomers, the ones that were middle to
Keep
late
going.
bloomers, the thing that they could only focus on, because they couldn't be the most physical, right? They were never going to
Yeah.
be the most physical then. The thing that they had to learn how to do is no matter, it doesn't matter if you're the best, but as long as you improve a little bit, like if let's say it's your squat, right? You might not squat 100 kilos. You might only be squatting 60 kilos. But as long as, next year you can squat like maybe 65 kilos. And
So
maybe the next year you can squat like maybe
you
even
make
like,
some kind of progression.
you just make progression. It's not about, hitting the top. It's about just making progression of wherever you're at. And I think that's a life lesson really there that, you can take from the research, you can take from football, and you can apply it into the rest of your life. It's not about, the expectation of what other people think that you should be able to do. It's not about your maximum ability, but it's just that every year you're a little bit better. And, maybe it is you're a little bit better as a friend. Maybe it's you're a little bit better as a colleague. Maybe it's you're a little bit better as a partner. It's not that you have to be the best partner, you have to be the best colleague, or that you have to be the best athlete from day one. It's just that
Yeah.
you're making progress.
Okay, excellent. How do you balance personal development and personal growth in your coaching?
So is that like with myself, like in my own coaching?
Yeah, in your own coaching.
Yeah.
Yourself and clients and stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, when it comes to clients, it's very much very akin to that same answer, like making sure that people are happy and making sure that people are just making continued improvement in whatever they're doing. As I said, it's not about necessarily being the best from day one. It's just about making small improvements. And I think for myself, like, I think it always comes back to it comes back to like what I can do for the community, what I can do for the people that I'm working with, whether I can help improve their quality of life, whether it can help improve their enjoyment in this world and in this lifetime. If I can help them to access some of that enjoyment and some of that, I suppose, some of that success through improving their fitness, improving their performance, then I would say that personally, that's a success.
And do you use like apps or to note down the progress, or do you tell them to use a little handbook?
Yeah. So I do a bit of both. I kind of write it in like an Excel spreadsheet. So if you squatted 100
Yeah.
kilos today, and then next week you came and did it as 105, I'd write it in like an Excel spreadsheet. But then also, I work with a lot of people remotely, so I use an app that has lots of exercises. I try to film all the exercises myself, so they can like go onto the app and they can see what exercises that I prescribed for them, and they can see me
Mm.
doing those exercises as well. And then on that app, they can also like write in what they did for the weights, and then over time they can see that progression, right? So then they can see what they did last week, they can see what they did last year, and they can just see that continued progression.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, what do you believe discipline or motivation is more important to achieve goals?
Discipline and what? Sorry.
Motivation.
Oh, motivation goes up and down massively. Discipline is something that will get you out of bed even when you're not motivated. Um, but I
Brilliant.
think what's important on top of that, like consistency is king. So um, even if you're not motivated, or even if you are the most motivated person at that particular time, even if you've got great discipline, it doesn't matter if you've got great discipline if you haven't got the consistency. So you can be very disciplined in something at a certain time, but then if you're not consistent with that, then it doesn't really mean anything. So I think sport is actually and if you look at professional athletes, I think this is one of the best thing to consider if you're not a professional athlete. how do these people do this thing? It's like, you know, a professional athlete will get up every single day and do exactly the same thing. They'll
Yeah.
wake up, they'll do the most mundane training. Their training isn't sexy, their training isn't exciting. They do the most boring thing every single day. And, you know, as a everyday person, we kind of wake up and we're like, where's this motivation to go up and go to the gym? Like, I'm just expecting this. And then they might be scrolling on their phone and be like, oh, I see all these like professional athletes, you know, jumping over 2 meters and like sprinting down 100 meters at, you know, crazy speeds. You know, these people do it even when they're not motivated. These people do it, and some of them are not very disciplined, I can tell you that. But the thing is that the thing that they have all in common is just that they're consistent.
It's true. Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, if you could give somebody some advice, what's one simple habit you'd ask them to make to
Get
start
enough
today?
sleep. Yeah, get enough sleep. Get enough sleep. I'm a massive proponent for getting adequate sleep every single day. I think it's a great opportunity um, to close off your day, and just draw a line under wherever you're at, and then also provide you with the hormones and the healing that happens whilst you're asleep, to then really potentiate your next day and really put you off on like a positive first
So
step.
what do you normally recommend? 7 hours, 8 hours, 6?
So if you're this is my personal advice. I think that even if you look at the research, it's a little bit contradictory, but I would say, if you know, for a normal person, I would say, yeah, around about 7 to 8 hours. If you're physically active, if you're exercising 3 to 5 times a week, well, I think 3 to 5 times a week is normal, actually. If you're probably exercising like 6 to 8 times a week, then you probably need a little bit more sleep. I would say probably between 8 to 10 hours, depending on how intense your training is.
That's purely because your body's resting as well and growing.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah, like if you're training that much, you need to give your body more rest, right? If you want your body to grow, then you got
Yeah,
to give it more rest. So,
definitely.
you know, 8 hours minimum, or if you're training hard.
Okay, if you what advice would you give somebody that feels stuck and doesn't know where to start?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very, very good question.
Because nowadays the first thing people do is start searching on the net, don't they?
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. The amount of times I get a text every single like week, I'll get a text and someone will say, hey, like, have you heard about this? I see everybody using it. I'm just like, number one, who's everyone?
Everyone, yeah.
Who's like, they're like, oh, what's that? What's your opinion about this supplement? I see, you know, all these people. Who's everyone? Number one, if people are like this is my personal opinion. If people are like using social media to sell things for your like supplements and stuff like that, I would say that's probably is a bit of a red flag, because
Yeah,
it hasn't come from science, it hasn't come from structure, it hasn't come from, you know, things that are what we can trust, really. Anybody can go onto social media and start professing that, you know, a certain supplement can change their life. So I would kind of put up a big red, a big red cross on using social media as a place to start any of these things.
even
Um,
YouTube.
I would say that, you know, and maybe, I suppose there's a caveat that there are some great places on YouTube. There's some great places on social media in general that do come at it from a little bit more of a objective point of view. And what I mean by that is that I know like doctors that will kind of critique and come on and they'll sort of say like, you know, oh, if you look at this research study, then it says that this is good. But if you look at that research study, then you said, and
Yeah,
it can be quite a good like way to learn about something and get a little bit more information. Um, but I think if you're just scrolling and you're just kind of like looking at the reels, if you're just looking at the 30 seconds that something might come up, I think it's not much of a it doesn't hold up very, very strong, let's just say.
that's true.
So I think, like, you know social media is great to get a taste for something, but it's just a taste, right? You got to do your own research, and you got to find out like if it's actually um, if it actually does hold up really. And that, I suppose that comes onto the second point of where I would go to. And there's, in my own sort of like spiritual teachings, like we learn about there's three different places that you should go to if you're actually seeking um, support and advice. And the first one is like a teacher, somebody that is qualified. Um, so first person would be, somebody that you look up to, someone that's qualified, that you can ask on a personal level. Hey, I've been looking at this, or hey, I've been trying to improve my health, or hey, I would like to start running. I want to start, like, maybe I want to run a 10K. Where would be a good place to start? The second would be a community. So I would be looking at trying to find a community or be part of a community that also practices that certain thing that um, that you want to develop. So, for example, if you wanted to improve your running, then go down to a running club or just inquire at a running club, for example. And then the third thing is always the research, right? To look at the what's in the literature,
100%.
and
Yeah.
within the literature, and you can find on the internet, you can find, to start off, as I just sort of mentioned, you can see what's out there on social media, but I think it's important for you to then dig under the very superficial lens that social media applies onto most things. So yeah, those three things where I would recommend people go to is, first of all, is a teacher. The second one is a community, and then the third one is the research.
Research. Okay. How can listeners bring focus and confidence or clarity into their lives using your method?
Um, First of all, like, understand the why they want to make that change, the why they want to come and they want to do sessions with me. I always focus on that. Like, a lot of the start of my sessions usually is an opportunity for me to understand where that person is on an emotional level, but also from a mental point of view, try and understand what their why is today. Like, where are they? Like, why are they here? Like, why do they want to improve? Is it because they want to improve just the way they look? Or is it actually there's something in there that's like they actually there's a subconscious or a thought process, or maybe it's a desire that they're trying to achieve. So understanding what that why is, I think, is the most important thing.
Why is a huge thing, isn't it?
Massive, massive.
Getting behind the actual reason.
Yeah, it can take a lifetime for you to really understand what those whys are, but when you do figure
Definitely.
it out, like, things become a lot more clear, and like your choices in life are a lot more clear.
Okay, where do you see your mystery method in the next 5 years?
5 years time. Okay, so what is it? 2025 to 2030. I would say, as I said before, like, I've kind of just taken this big step out by myself this year. So in the next 5 years, um, I want to say that I'm helping people consistently. I want to say that I'm working in communities, and I just want to be a small part in a community that helps many people to improve their quality of life. I want to potentially have my own, like, facility to train out of. So at the moment, I do have a small place that I call my clinic, and I see my clients there. But it would be great to be able to have a slightly larger place so I can work with more clients, that people can work with me to also improve the quality of more people's lives. And yeah.
Excellent. Okay, you answered my next question. Basically, I was going to say workshops or online courses, but you kind of like touched on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, how do you see personal development evolving in the next decade?
Personal development evolving in the next decade. I would say that um,
Because
in the
obviously
next
AI is
decade.
massive now, isn't it?
Say that again.
AI is massive now, isn't it?
AI is, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of what I do has started to use, like ChatGPT and
Yeah.
and other AI sort of like machines, right? So I think in the next 10 years we can never really know what our lives are going to look like, because a lot of the time I get my chat GPT to write my own emails for me now, right? So I don't necessarily have to worry, and I don't have to put mental energies into thinking about how am I going to write this email. So who's to know, like in 10 years time, what other things we won't have to put our energies towards. But I fully believe that, if I can continue to, support other people and help improve their lives, and if I can use the technologies that we've got around us to make that more accessible to more people, if I can use the technologies around us so that I can, I can serve more people, then that is something that I would be very, very interested in.
Fantastic. Okay, if you could give one final piece of advice
Yeah.
to our audience about growth and self-mastery, what would it be? Apart from sleep.
Yeah. I would say that, remember, there's a 90-10 rule. So 90-10, it's that 10% of life is made up of like very external things that are very materialistic, and things that are here now, but someday they won't be there. So that might be our health, that might be our families, that might be the house that we live in, etc. But then 90% of the time is actually spent on how we react to those things. So if someone says something to you that you don't like, actually most of the energy and 90% of everything that's going to happen is going to come down to the way that you react to that, and the way that you act after that as well. So if you think about, if it's only 10% that is all of this stuff, and then other 90% is actually all in your head, then we need to like just make a shift and a conscious effort to improve our inner space, which is inside of us, as opposed to focusing on that outer space, which is everything else, right?
Excellent answer. Okay, do you have a nomination for me? Do you get time to nominate somebody?
Yes. Yeah, I do actually. My best friend, the person that was a role model to me when I was way back, when I was a kid. He's still my best friend now, and we're very, very close. His name is Harold Crafton. He actually lives in a different country, but I think he lives in Ireland. Yeah, he lives in Ireland.
What does he do?
Far. He works for Google, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so he works for Google over in Ireland, and he's a community man. He's a family man. He does some incredible things. He's also very passionate about improving the quality of people's health within the community, and I think he would be a very, very interesting person to
Fantastic. Yeah, send me his details across, or tell him to hit me up. But Liam, thank you very much. Been absolutely fantastic. All the best, and I'll catch you soon at the next SEA Games. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see you
But
soon.
you know what,
Thank you so much for having us on.
I'm on the WhatsApp group for the SEA Games, and all I've been saying is, hurry up, organize the next one.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, we'll have more opportunities to get together. If it's not a big competition, it'll be some sort of like good training session, and
definitely
just a great social, right?
All right, but listen, thank you very much again for your time. Yeah, all the best.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Have
a great weekend.
Take care.
All right, bye.